you have the Miss Winter date and stuff, though?
I see Drew did provide a
Thank you for that.
You know, talk through it.
Yeah, that's right. I think there was multiple practical channels. I just need to be able to say, like,
Right.
this is the one we're going to do.
Right. Okay.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular City Commission meeting for this, the 25th day of March, 2024. We will have the invocation by Pastor Spivey from People's Church, and we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Vanessa Castillo, CMP City Clerk. Stand your feet.
Got roll call. Roll call.
It's your first rodeo? Roll call while we're standing.
Commissioner Dollison.
Here.
Commissioner Mercer. Here. Commissioner Dantzler.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Yates.
Here.
And Mayor Birdsong.
Here.
Mr. Mayor and council members, thank you so much for continuing this tradition, and it's our privilege to do this. Will you join me in prayer? Our Father, we come to you this evening. We thank you that we have a forum like this, and I pray that this evening, Lord, that you would grant your wisdom, your grace. We pray that for the betterment of the community as a result of this meeting, we pray that you would touch each council member, Lord, by your Spirit. And as best we know how, we surrender ourselves to you this evening for your influence. And we thank you for it all. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Mrs. will join me for some presentations.
Mr. Mayor, we have a couple presentations this evening. I'm going to ask Deputy City Manager MJ Carnevale to provide that this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. Our first proclamation is for Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas Florida is committed to improving the lives of all Floridians and securing a better future for the citizens of the state, and whereas children who have adverse childhood experiences are at a higher risk of short and long-term physical, psychological, and behavioral challenges that can impact the individual child and the greater community, and parents and caregivers who have resources and support are better equipped to give their children safe and nurturing experiences. And whereas children have better mental health and physical health and academic success when they are raised in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And whereas the Florida Department of Children and Families Secretary has a vision for holistic services by integrating systems and services. And whereas the state of Florida has established Hope Florida, a pathway to prosperity, a personalized approach to helping families overcome barriers to self-sufficiency through community collaboration, and Floridians can call 850-300-HOPE to speak with a care navigator for support to develop a plan to achieve economic self-sufficiency, referrals to local partners, and help identifying goals and barriers in their lives. And whereas during the month of April, Prevent Child Abuse Florida, in collaboration with the Governor's Office of Adoption and Child Protection and the Florida Department of Children and Families, Heartland for Children, and the Ounce of Prevention Fund of Florida, implements Pinwheels for Prevention, a statewide coordinated campaign to raise awareness of child abuse prevention efforts by teaching about the healthy child development and positive parenting practices, and establishing Circle of Parents peer support groups. And whereas Child Abuse Prevention Month provides everyone a chance to learn how they can play a role in preventing abuse and neglect, including adverse childhood experiences. And whereas Child Abuse Prevention Month reminds Floridians of all ages that they can help children increase positive childhood experiences, which lead to happier, healthier childhoods. Now therefore, Nathaniel J. Birdsong, Mayor of the City of Winter Haven, Florida, does hereby extend his support to all observing April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Winter Haven, Florida. In witness whereof, he is hereunto set his hand and caused the seal of the City of Winter Haven, Florida to be affixed this 25th day of March 2024.
Well, you guys all know Winter Haven is my favorite city. So I'm going to read a response. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Katie Parchment. I'm with Heartland for Children, and I work in community relations. Thank you, City of Winter Haven, for proclaiming April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. We appreciate the involvement of Polk County in the Pinwheels for Prevention campaign each year. We are delighted that many cities, schools, and county municipalities are displaying pinwheels and talking about what we can do to strengthen families and keep children safe. Pinwheels for Prevention uses a simple child's toy, a blue and silver pinwheel, to remind us of the happy and healthy childhood that all children deserve, and to also remind us that everyone plays a vital role in keeping children safe. Heartland for Children is proud to be the lead community-based care agency under the Department of Children and Families, and we are passionate about child safety and strengthening families through services and resources. To give you a better understanding of the families that we serve, here's a little bit of information. The total number of children with open child welfare cases throughout Polk, Highlands, and Hardy counties as of March 10th is 1,930. The total number of children removed from their homes in the Tri-County area due to abuse or neglect last fiscal year, 2022-2023, was 718 children. Our greatest need facing our system of care is foster homes. The total current number of traditional foster homes we have in the Tri-County area is 185. Out of that, we have 10 in Highlands County and 1 in Hardy County. The remainder, 173, is in Polk County. For the fiscal year of 2020, and we need a total of 250 to ensure that kids don't have to continue to be moved over and over again. For the fiscal year of 2022-2023, 296 children were adopted in Circuit 10, which is a blessing. We are on track to at least reach that goal for this year, and we have already secured 124 forever homes for children in our area. So during the month of April, we encourage you to display pinwheels and share information with others through conversations and social media about child abuse prevention. We ask that you wear a pinwheel lapel, like I see that Pro Tem Yates has on, thank you, and also provide information to others about child abuse prevention. We want our community to understand that together we can all play a huge role in ensuring that children are safe. Thank you.
All right, our next proclamation this evening is Water Conservation Month, and I believe there are some members of the city team here to receive that. Whereas water is a basic and essential need of every living creature, and whereas the state of Florida, water management districts, and the city of Winter Haven are working together to increase awareness about the importance of water conservation, and whereas the city of Winter Haven and the state of Florida has designated April, typically a dry month when water demands are most acute, Florida's Water Conservation Month, to educate citizens about how they can help save Florida's precious water resources. And whereas the city of Winter Haven has always encouraged and supported water conservation through various educational programs and special events. And whereas every business, industry, school, and citizen can make a difference when it comes to conserving water. And whereas every business, industry, school, and citizen can help by saving water and thus promote a healthy economy and community. And whereas outdoor irrigation compromises a large portion of water use in the city of Winter Haven, will encourage citizens and businesses to focus on improving outdoor irrigation efficiency. Now therefore be it resolved that by virtue of the authority vested in him as mayor of the city of Winter Haven, Florida, Nathaniel J. Birdsong Jr. does hereby proclaim the month of April as Water Conservation Month. The city of Winter Haven, Florida is calling upon each citizen and business to help protect our precious resource by practicing water-saving measures and becoming more aware of the need to save water. For this, the 26th year of Water Conservation Month, there will be a special focus on improving outdoor irrigation efficiency. In witness whereof, he is hereunto set his hand and caused the seal of the city of Winter Haven, Florida to be affixed this 25th day of March 2024.
Thank you. Tonight, I am deeply honored to accept this award for Water Conservation Proclamation Night as a water conservation specialist at the city of Winter Haven. It's been an incredible journey, starting as an intern in December 2022, and now standing before you just over a year later at the age of 23 as a water conservation specialist. In this role, I have the privilege of spearheading water conservation education programs and incentives within Polk County as part of the Polk Regional Water Cooperative. Over the past 4 months, I've witnessed firsthand the importance of our collective efforts in preserving our most precious national resource, water. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the city of Winter Haven for entrusting me with this responsibility, to my supervisor, Keely Carlton, for her guidance and support, to Gary Hubbard, the Winter Haven Water Director, for his leadership, and to Mark Bumber, the Assistant Director, for his invaluable contributions. But most importantly, I am thankful for the incredible colleagues at the Water Department who have welcomed me into their family and made every day a joy to come to work. As I stand here tonight, I am reminded of the vital role each of us plays in safeguarding our water for future generations. I am committed to continuing to learn, grow, and work tirelessly towards a future where water conservation is not just a priority, but a way of life. Thank you once again for this recognition, and let us all continue to strive for a sustainable and water-conscious future. Best regards, Elliot Santiago Lugaro.
Did you tell Elliot the same thing?
All right, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1 more.
If we start them young with conservation, hopefully that will stick for future generations. So, Mayor and Commissioners, we have 2 more items under presentations this evening. Next, I'd like to welcome to our City Hall and City Commission chambers Alex DeRose, who is the recently crowned Miss Winter Haven. So we just had our Miss Florida Citrus and Miss Winter Haven pageant a few weeks back, and a little background on Alex. She's a classically trained ballet dancer who graduated from the School of American Ballet in New York City, an award-winning choreographer and dancer, and founder of 2 nonprofit corporations, the first being The Blue Project, which combines neuroscience and the arts, and the second is Peace, Love, and Leotards, Inc., which provides dance wear to dancers in need. The Blue Project serves as Alex's community service initiative during her year of service. In addition, Alex is a pre-med student at the University of South Florida Judy Genshaft Honors College, an advocate who has lobbied on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. for brain injury funding and awareness, and best of all, a lifelong resident of Winter Haven, who's looking forward to serving the community that has supported her.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me here tonight. It's such a privilege and an honor to be able to represent the city. I've been a resident here since I was 8 months old, and so to be able to give back to the city that has truly given so much to me, and to be able to represent you all on the Miss Florida stage in June, and hopefully the Miss America stage as Miss Florida, is so amazing. So thank you.
Have a break. 1, 2, 3, and one more. Perfect.
Hold on 1 second. We'll go fix his phone for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Mayor and Commissioners, if you'll stay up for one more, I have one more to present.
Thank you.
So for, as the commission knows and staff, but perhaps not the audience, the commission has actually 3 employees that they hire under contract, myself, the city attorney, and the city clerk. And so this evening, I'd like to be a part of the celebration of our city clerk, who is celebrating 10 years of service with the city of Winter Haven this year. Hard to believe it's been 10 years, but I will say without doubt that we have one of the best city clerks that you could ever find. Vanessa has a heavy lift in terms of managing everything from elections to our records to all of our public notices and all the public records requests that come in. So she has been with us for 10 years as of this year and is doing a great job. She is being a great mentor to LaTanya Harris, our deputy city clerk, as well as other city clerks around the state. So with that, I'd like to present Vanessa Castillo with her 10-year service award.
All right. Now breathe. 1, 2, 3. One more.
Mayor and Commissioners, that concludes our presentations for this evening.
We have no developments of note. Commissioners, you have the minutes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve the minutes for February 21st, 2024, February 26th, 2024, March 6th, 2024, and March 11th, 2024. Those are agenda review and city commission meeting minutes.
Thank you. I will now close the city commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on the minutes? Seeing none, I close the public hearing, reopen city commission meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. Comments from the audience? Okay, we have 4 people that have signed up. As we get to the item that you signed up for, I will call you forward.
Anybody else?
Is there anyone else in the audience that didn't sign up that would like to address this commission? All right, thank you. All right, ordinance is second reading, public hearing, 02409. Would you read by title only, city attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commission ordinance number O-24-09, an ordinance amending ordinance 23-25, the 2035 Winter Haven Comprehensive Plan, 2035 Future Land Use Map Series, by revising the future land use map series by assigning neighborhood suburban future land use to one annexed parcel, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the administrative correction of scrivener's errors, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. General location at parcel generally located southwest of the intersection of Old Bartow Lake Wales Road and Waters Road. The area covered by this request is 19.29 plus or minus acres. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager.
Mayor and Commissioners, Ordinance 024-09 is a request by Shelton Rice to assign neighborhood suburban future land use to an annexed parcel totaling 19.29 plus or minus acres that was annexed on November 27th, 2023. This is second reading. This was discussed at your last City Commission meeting as well as the two workshops leading up to this evening. Eric Labby is available to answer any questions the Commission may have on this item if necessary.
Okay.
Staff recommends approval of 2409 on second and final reading.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve ordinance O-24-09 on second reading.
Thank you. I will now close the commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone from the public wish to speak to this ordinance may do so at this time. State your name and address for the record, please.
Commissioners, for the record, my name is Shelton Rice. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Peterson and Myers, address 225 East Lemon Street, Lakeland, Florida. Today I'm here on behalf of the applicant requesting this future land use map amendment. This is something that's come before you. I sat in the audience and listened to some of the comments that the commissioners made at the last round. So I have a presentation. I'll spare you the full presentation, but I did just want to address the two comments that were made. Commissioner Yates, Mayor Pro Tem Yates, I believe your question was related to concurrency and traffic. So we have a traffic study going on. I asked if we had the results of those things. As of now, we don't, but we recognize kind of the laws and the rules related to traffic. So we anticipate addressing those things as they come about through the development process. Commissioner Dantzler's comments related to workforce housing certainly kind of caught my intrigue, and so I did a little digging and analysis on that as well. I think, Commissioner, your comments may have been more focused on the board to discuss at a later retreat, workforce housing and what's being done to provide workforce housing in the community. So I thought this was a good opportunity to just look at an example of the workforce housing and the types of products that are anticipated to be put in this development. So to do that, I looked at a neighboring project to the north, about a half a mile away. 637 Reggie Road is a particular piece. It's listed for $239,000. So this is under contract by a friend and client of mine. It's got 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. It's a little over 1,400 square feet. It's a very nice home. At $239,000, that equates with 3% down. Your monthly payment would be a little over $2,000. So thinking of somebody, first-time home buyer, that's around a $2,000 mortgage payment with some of the additional costs, not counting homeowners association dues, because I didn't think that was really appropriate. Those vary so much, but everything else kind of $2,000. Looking at it from a 20% down payment number, that gets you to, bear with me, about $1,683. So a little under $1,700 a month would be the obligation if you put 20% down on that home. So equating that back and looking at the most recent census data that was available, the median household income in Polk County through 2018 to 2022 was just over $60,000. So when you look at the annual number, you apply the general rule of thumb that I could find, which is a 28% kind of amount of your gross income that should be allocated to your housing costs, and you back into the annualized income, you get to around a $72,000 annual income would be anticipated for if you put 20% down, or $87,000 if you put 3% down. So I'm no economist. This is kind of back of the napkin type math. Wages have certainly increased a little bit over the last few years, so that data is a little stale from 2018 to 2022, somewhere 10 to 12%. So this is very close, if not within kind of the range of what you could define as workforce housing. So the Urban Land Institute says workforce housing is between 60 and 120% of your median household income in the area. So that's kind of the math that we did to get to that. So you're ultimately looking at 60% of the average median income with a kind of modest 8% increase since the census data would put you around 40,000. The 120% average median income would be around 79,000. So if you look at those numbers, kind of with a little bit of adjustments here or there, you're 72,000 or at a 3% down payment, you're pretty close to kind of being within that workforce housing definition on the upper end. But given interest rates where they are, we think, yeah, this is still somewhat affordable, even though the costs are really high right now. So just a little additional background that I thought may be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
I've got a comment.
Okay.
Sheldon, I got to tell you, no, stay back there. I'm just going to tell you, I appreciate your effort. That was good. And I followed everything you said. I'm not sure if your audience did, but what you were trying to tell me is this project that you're proposing potentially could have some affordable workforce housing. That's what I think I've gleaned from what you said. At this stage of the game, I know it's early, but that's all. I thank you for your homework, and I'm not used to that, so I do appreciate you listening to what we said and coming back with some comments. So, bravo, thank you.
It would have only been about 15, 20 more minutes if I'd have done the presentation.
Well, we appreciate that.
Is there anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I think that it was good to hear that there is some effort toward workforce housing. We know that currently our area is experiencing some challenges for a lot of people trying to afford just basic housing in Winter Haven. And I think Commissioner was speaking to that we are making an effort to do our best to make that available as much as possible. I am certainly appreciative of the Florence Place Apartments that will be opening very soon, actually near the church where I serve. And I'm hoping that we will continue to move in that way as it relates to housing that is available and affordable for many of our residents who are currently here. We know a lot of people are relocating to this area, and that's great. We're certainly happy to see the expansion and the growth, but also we're concerned about the people who are here and would like to find a decent place to live.
Thank you. I will now close the public hearing, reopen the city commission meeting. Are there any other comments? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. Ordinance O-2410, would you read by title only, city attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number O-24-10, an ordinance amending Chapter 21 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Winter Haven, Florida by assigning multifamily residential low-density R-3 zoning district to an annexed parcel, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the administrative correction of scrivener's errors, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. General location of parcel generally located southwest of the intersection of Old Bartow Lake Wales Road and Waters Road. The area covered by this request is 19.29 plus or minus acres. Thank you.
Thank you. City manager?
Mayor and Commissioners, Ordinance O-24-10 is a companion ordinance to 2409. This one deals specifically with the residential low-density R3 zoning district request.
Thank you.
Staff has no comments other than recommending approval on second and final reading.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve O-2410 in public hearing.
Thank you. I will now close the city commission meeting and open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this ordinance may do so at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. We open the city commission meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. All right. 9C, O-2413, would you read by title only, city attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number O-24-13, an ordinance amending Chapter 21, Article Roman numeral 2, Division 5, Section 21-97, and Chapter 21, Article Roman numeral 2, Division 2, Table 21-32A for the purpose of addressing pharmacies and medical marijuana dispensing facilities in the mixed-use MX zoning district, amending Chapter 21, Article Roman numeral 2, Division 2, Table 21-32A for the purpose of addressing medical clinics, amending Chapter 21, Article Roman numeral 9, Section 21-531 for the purpose of amending and adding definitions related to medical offices and medical clinics, providing for the administrative correction of scrivener's errors, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager?
Mayor and Commissioners, I'm going to ask Eric Labby, our Director of Economic Investment and Economic Opportunity and Community Investment, to present this at a very high level.
Yes, sir, Mayor, Commissioners. This ordinance has to do with pharmacies within the MX zoning district and by state law, therefore also medical marijuana dispensing facilities. Currently, they're not allowed in the MX zoning district, so we did notice that there are 2 large medical clinics within MX zoning districts within the city of Winter Haven. So this ordinance would allow for pharmacies and therefore medical marijuana clinics also by state law within the MX zoning district only by accessory special use. So they have to be accessory to a medical clinic as defined by the code and subject to special use approval at the Planning Commission level. Staff does recommend approval.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve O 2413 and 17.
All right. Thank you. I will now close the City Commission meeting, open the public hearing. And there's Ashley Scalolin that wants to speak to this item. State your name and address for the record, please. Did I get your name right?
It was so close, Mayor. Ashley Scanlon, representing Bond Clinic at 500 East Central Avenue here in Winter Haven. We had the opportunity to speak to you guys at length at the last commission meeting, so we just wanted to make ourselves available if there were any further questions.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? I'll close the public hearing, reopen the City Commission meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. Hearing none, motion passes.
I get one point of clarity. I was going to ask, just, I mean, I'm
question?
an aye, but as well, but just one point of clarification. So the applicant, we have to throw marijuana dispensary in there because of state law, but this applicant doesn't intend on utilizing their pharmacy for marijuana purposes. The school rule still trumps all, right? So if there is a school within X number of yards, then that rule still supersedes and would then deny that entity from moving forward, right?
Yes, sir,
Yep.
absolutely.
Thought so. Just wanted to make sure I clarified that. So thank you.
All right. And you did say you voted for
Yes.
it, right?
Yeah.
All right.
You're just too quick for me.
Commissioners, you have the consent agenda. Can I entertain a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as a whole.
Thank you. I will now close the City Commission meeting and open the public workshop. Anyone wishing to speak to the consent agenda may do so at this time. Seeing none, close the public workshop, open the City Commission meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. Hearing none, the consent agenda is adopted. Resolution R2418, would you read by title only, City Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution R-24-18, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Winter Haven, Florida, renaming Rialto Road, located in the Villamar Phase 4 subdivision, as recorded in Plat Book 190, pages 16 through 21, Villamar Phase 5 subdivision, as recorded in Plat Book 194, pages 46 through 51, and Villamar Phase 6, as recorded in Plat Book 203, pages 7 through 17 of the Public Records of Polk County, Florida, to Cunningham Road, making findings, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting resolutions, and an effective date. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager?
Mayor and Commissioners, Eric Labby will present this item for your consideration this evening.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Rialto Road was platted and named as part of the Villamar Phase 4, 5, and 6 subdivisions, and as City Attorney mentioned, functions as the north-south extension of the current east-west running Cunningham Road. Rialto Road's northern terminus is the new Thompson Nursery Road realignment. As no building lots access Rialto Road, no existing or future residential properties will be impacted by this request. Once this resolution is approved by the City Commission, the Polk County E911 addressing office will notify affected emergency response agencies and other government agencies and the affected property owner, which is, the only property owner is the Villamar CDD. There is no financial impact as a result of this request, and staff does recommend City Commission approve Resolution R 2418.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Quick question.
Yes.
Eric, is this being requested by the developer or by staff?
Villamar CDD.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to approve Resolution R-24-18.
Thank you. I will now close the City Commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this resolution may do so at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, reopen the City Commission meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. Hearing none, it's adopted. R 2419, which read by title only, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution R-24-19, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Winter Haven, Florida, appointing a member to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, affirming the term of the member of the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, Nunc Pro Tunc, to January 1, 2024, and providing for severability, repeal of conflicting resolutions for the administrative correction of scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager.
Mayor and Commissioners, Eric Labby will present this item for your consideration.
Yes, sir. The Winter Haven City Commission appoints members of the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. The Affordable Housing Advisory Committee convened a quorum of members on March 18th, 2024, and unanimously recommended Andy Oguntola to serve on the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. He is an Associate Vice President at Polk State College. He will be representing, he's a citizen representing essential services personnel as defined in the Local Housing Assistance Plan. There is no direct financial impact with this request, and staff recommends that the City Commission approve Resolution R 2419, appointing Mr. Oguntola to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee for a term commencing January 1, 2024 and expiring December 31st, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners.
Mr. Mayor. Motion to approve Resolution R-24-19.
All right, thank you. I will now close the City Commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this resolution may do so at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing, reopen the City Commission meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign, motion carries. Resolution R 2402, which read by title only, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution R-24-20, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Winter Haven, Florida, authorizing participation in litigation, seeking a declaration that the provisions of Section 112.1441D, Florida statutes that require municipal elected officials to file Form 6 financial disclosure forms is unconstitutional and invalid, providing for the incorporation of recitals, providing for the administrative correction of scrivener's errors, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
City Manager.
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, we had a lengthy discussion on this on Wednesday. However, for the benefit of all, I'll ask City Attorney John Murphy to provide an overview for you this evening.
Thank you, City Manager. And as the City Manager noted, you all had a consensus to instruct that this resolution be prepared and placed on the agenda for tonight's consideration. In 2023, the Florida Legislature adopted Senate Bill 774, which requires elected municipal officials and candidates to file a Form 6 financial disclosure instead of the Form 1 financial disclosure, which was previously required. The Form 6 disclosure is a much more intrusive and detailed disclosure requiring specific values of assets and interests be disclosed instead of just their existence. Following adoption of the requirement, over 100 elected officials across the state resigned in protest. In mid-February of 2024, the Weiss, Sirota, Healthman, Cole, and Berman PL law firm filed lawsuits on behalf of various cities and elected officials in state court and in the federal court, challenging the law and seeking injunctive and declaratory relief that the subject law is unconstitutional. Resolution R2420 sets forth various findings and would authorize the retention of the firm of Weiss Serota regarding this matter and authorize the city and its elected officials to participate in the pending actions as parties. The law firm likely would need to seek an amendment of the complaint to accomplish this objective. I spoke to Mr. Jamie Cole, the principal attorney with Weiss Serota this afternoon, who's handling these litigation matters. As I mentioned at the workshop meeting, there are two lawsuits. One's pending in the state court up at the 2nd Judicial Circuit in Leon County, Tallahassee. The other is pending in the Southern District of Florida, down in Miami Federal Court. Mr. Weiss, Mr. Cole indicated to me that there are currently 43 cities that have joined as plaintiffs in those lawsuits, and there are approximately 148 individual elected officials who have participated. Mr. Cole indicated that they just recently amended the complaints on Friday, March 22nd, but that they would also be amending sometime again in mid to late April of this year, and that he reminded me to tell you that they are asking for injunctive relief in the federal court system first, and that would be something that if the city were inclined to participate in this litigation, the individual commissioners would need to sign the forms that are provided as part of the agenda to consent to your individual as commissioner capacities. That Mr. Cole indicated that if that were to be happening tonight, that there would be enough time for them to include you and the city of Winter Haven in the amendment that they would be processing in either mid to late April of this year, certainly before the injunctive relief would be requested. What happens is they would ask the federal court for an injunction. The federal court has to confer or allow for a hearing to be held on that. Those are matters that are argued mainly on legal bases in terms of the standards of review. And the gist of the argument is that the requirement of filing Form 6, which this new law requires, is constitutionally invalid because it's an abridgment of the right freedom of speech, and that it is not the least restrictive means that the legislator could have adopted in order to accomplish the goals that they articulated. And they've also alleged in the complaint and the matter seeking an injunction that there was no evidence or other empirical data that was presented at any of the legislative proceedings that would have supported the finding that this was the least restrictive means within which to accomplish the governmental objective. So this is before you tonight. To participate in the litigation, the law firm of Weiss Serota would require the payment of $10,000. That's the requirement that they are requiring for all municipalities. The fee would enable the city to join the group of plaintiff municipalities, as well as the city's individual elected officials to participate in the group of plaintiffs. As I mentioned, you would need to execute the separate consents in order to participate in the federal lawsuit and the state lawsuit. The City Commission will consider Resolution R2420, which authorizes the retention of the Weiss Serota firm and approves joining the state and federal lawsuits against the Form 6 requirement for elected officials. I don't give you any recommendation on this one way or the other. This is an entirely decision up to you all. Cannot give any kind of guarantee or any kind of even suggestion of whether they will prevail or not. I will say if you're not a party to the litigation and they were to prevail, it would only impact those parties or those cities that were members of the litigation. And so it's not a class action lawsuit as such. And of course, the other aspect is that it would, it's up to the courts ultimately to decide how they would make a decision in this matter. So we had a pretty robust discussion of this at our agenda review session, and certainly we'll try to answer any questions if there are any. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
All right, yes.
Motion to approve R2420, ordinance, resolution R2420.
All right, thank you. I will now close the City Commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to R2420 may do so at this time. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. We open the city commission meeting. Is there any discussion?
I'll echo kind of my comments from Wednesday. You know, I do think that Form 6 is invasive. I think that a lot of information that Form 6 requests is not relevant to what we do up here on a municipal commission. But at the same time, I struggle with sending $10,000 to a law firm in Miami. And, you know, it's unfortunate that we're even at this stage, but, you know, that's what I struggle with. So I don't like the form any more than anybody else does, but kind of part of the deal at this point. Unfortunately, they changed the rules midway through the game.
Anyone else?
I'll say, one of the things, you know, it isn't so much the form. It isn't so much the form as it is the process that they did. They gave no time to prepare for any of this. So that's just and a lot of times it's like they pass it and then there's no recourse, there's no time, there's no anything. So that was my concern. I like to be informed of things and have time to prepare. It's just me, so.
Well, y'all know how I feel about it. I won't say much more about it, but I will say that after I'm long off this commission, and if you're a CPA and somebody pays you more than $1,000 to prepare their tax return, you're going to have to disclose that name if you're up here on this dais. Or if you're an attorney and you charge somebody more than $1,000 to provide legal services, and you're up here on this dais, you're going to have to disclose that name. To me, it's an overreach, and we have to send a message that they just can't do this anymore. We've got to, sooner or later, we've got to start taking home rule seriously, and this is Home Rule 101. So that's why I made the motion. That's why I want to vote for it. So.
Anyone else? All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Aye.
Mr. Mayor, could we do, City Clerk, do you have a sufficient tally for the vote?
3-2.
Pardon me?
Who were the two that I heard? Yates and?
And I oppose.
Okay, so the record reflects that Mayor Birdsong and Mayor Pro Tem Yates voted no, and Commissioners Dollison, Mercer, and Dancer voted yes. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Thank you. Just for the record was clear.
Okay. All right. Moving on to ordinances, our first reading. The second reading will be on April the 8th. Ordinance 02415, would you read by title only, City Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number O-24-15, an ordinance extending the corporate limits of the city of Winter Haven, Florida, so as to include therein additional territory lying contiguous and adjacent to the present boundaries of the city of Winter Haven, Florida, describing said additional territory, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the administrative correction of scrivener's errors, and providing an effective date. General location, a parcel generally located north of Ware Avenue, northeast, and south of Lake Smart. The area covered by this request is 56.74 plus or minus acres. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager?
Mayor Commissioners, Eric Labby will present 2415, 2416, and 2417. Those are your first three under first readings.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mayor Commissioner, Smart Ridge Park LLC is the petitioner. They're requesting the City Commission to annex one parcel that totals 56.74 acres. The petitioner is seeking annexation for the purpose of developing the subject parcel. It is contiguous to the city, to the north, west, and south. The annexation of this parcel will not create an enclave. Its current taxable value is $68,907. Additional revenue is expected upon development of the property. This is a voluntary petition for annexation. Staff does recommend the City Commission approve ordinance O-2415.
Thank you. Second reading, as I said, will be on April the 8th. However, I will allow anyone that would like to speak to this ordinance to do so tonight. All right, seeing none, ordinance O-2416, would you read by title only, City Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number O-24-16, an ordinance amending Chapter 21 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Winter Haven, Florida, by rezoning 115 parcels from single-family residential-small lot R-2 zoning district to single-family residential-large lot R-1 zoning district, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the administrative correction of scrivener's errors, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. General location, the Wood Point Phase 1 and Phase 2 subdivisions, generally located east of Lake Daisy Road and northeast of Lake Daisy. The area covered by this request is 41.9 plus or minus acres. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager.
Mr. Labby will present.
Thanks.
Mayor, Commissioners, Ordinance O-2416 is an administrative request to rezone 115 parcels from single-family residential small lot R2 to single-family residential large lot R1 zoning district. This is commonly known as Wood Point Phase 1 and 2 subdivisions. The basic request here is that several years ago, in the R2 and R3 zoning district, we established maximum setbacks. In the R2 zoning district, which is currently on the property, that maximum setback is 20 feet. These homes were developed before those regulations were put in place, and the homes are set back at 25 feet or greater. Rezoning to the R1 large lot zoning district would allow future homes on vacant lots to be set back at similar setbacks to the homes that are already constructed within the subdivision. Staff does recommend approval.
All right, as I said, there will be a second reading on April the 8th. However, if anyone would like to speak to this, you can do so at this time.
Mr. Mayor, if you would actually close this commission meeting and open a public hearing. This is one of those ordinances that requires two public hearings, so.
Oh, okay. I will now close the City Commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to speak can do so at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing, reopen the City Commission meeting. We will have the second reading on April 8th.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Just those 7-8 lots that were to the north, those are, I assume, are already R1 because those were added to the development after?
Yep, those were zoned R1 not too long ago, actually.
Yeah, it originally ended, like, there was an original little circle there, and now they pushed through that now.
All right. O-2417, would you read by title only, City Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number O-24-17, an ordinance amending Chapter 21 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Winter Haven, Florida, by rezoning 41 parcels and a portion of another parcel from single-family residential-small lot R-2 zoning district to single-family residential-large lot R-1 zoning district, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the administrative correction of scrivener's errors, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. The general location of the Cypresswood Palmacia subdivision, generally located west of Palmacia Road, approximately 400 feet west of Sand Hill Lane. The area covered by this request is 24.4 plus or minus acres. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Labby.
Yes, sir. Again, Mayor, Commissioners, this is an administrative request to rezone 41 parcels and a portion of another parcel from single-family residential small lot R2 zoning district to single-family residential large lot R1 in the subdivision commonly known as Cypresswood Palmacia subdivision. Again, it is the same situation as the case that we had just heard previously. The lots in this particular subdivision, the existing homes were developed prior to us establishing a maximum setback within the R2 zoning district. Rezoning to R1 would allow the future homes on the vacant lots to be set back at similar setbacks to the existing homes within the subdivision. And again, staff does recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. I will close the City Commission meeting, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this ordinance may do so at this time. Close the public hearing, we open the City Commission meeting. We will have the second reading on April 8th. Ordinance O-2421, would you read by title only, City Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number O-24-21, an ordinance of the City of Winter Haven, Florida, amending ordinance number O-23-54 regarding appropriation of funds for defraying expenses of the municipal government of the City of Winter Haven for the fiscal year commencing October 1, 2023, providing for severability and providing for an effective date. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Labby?
Actually, City Manager, we don't let Mr. Labby handle too much with finances, so we're going to ask our CFO, Colin Scott, to present this item, which is a budget ordinance.
That was a good one.
So we just finished our fiscal year 2023 with the general fund reflecting a surplus where revenues exceeded expenditures of $4,316,976. This increased the fund balance to $26,554,263. The city's fiscal policy requires a minimum of 17% of the general fund's operating expenditures to be retained in the unassigned fund balance. Any unassigned fund balance in excess of 30% may be transferred to the construction fund to defray costs and cover contingencies, as recommended by the city manager and approved by the city commission. The 30% unassigned fund balance is $21,168,244, providing a total surplus of $5,386,19. It is recommended that this balance be transferred to the 2021 construction fund, with $1,600,642 dedicated to Lake Conine project, as construction costs have exceeded appropriated funds. And staff recommends approval of the ordinance.
Commissioners, we had a good discussion on this the other evening as well. Again, as our CFO has pointed out, this is budget surplus in excess of the 30% goal that was set, and transferring that into the construction fund to offset some costs there. The initial project, which we had discussed for quite some time now, is the completion of Lake Conine Nature Park with the recreational elements. Following that, there will be a request to apply some of those funds to the future development of Fire Station Number 5 on Lake Hartridge.
Okay, thank you. I will close the City Commission meeting, open public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this ordinance may do so at this time. Close the public hearing. We open the City Commission meeting. We will have a second reading on April 8th. New business item 13A. City Manager.
Mayor and Commissioners, I'm going to go through this presentation again from Wednesday, just to reiterate the significant points of it. Since 2004, our calculations as far as what the city has contributed to the historic Ritz Theater from the city have totaled over $515,000. Dating back into the 1990s, there were other contributions that were made to the historic Ritz Theater and the Ritz 100 for certain capital campaigns to restore that building. In fiscal years 22, 23, and 24, the city's contribution was paid from both the general fund and the downtown CRA fund, and totaled $80,000 for each of those 3 years combined between the two funds. Earlier this year in January, representatives of the Historic Ritz Theater Board of Directors met with myself to discuss the future of the Ritz. Despite the contributions of the city and others and the noble efforts, the current programming of the facility with the Ritz, it just isn't sufficient, and the Ritz is in a dire financial position with respect to maintaining its operations as well as meeting its forthcoming mortgage obligations. In light of that situation, the board representatives inquired as to any willingness or interest from the city in permanently acquiring the facility and assuming the ongoing operation. Hence the presentation of this issue for the commission to give consideration to. So I had done quite a bit of research into the financial condition of the Ritz, and the board was very forthcoming, as was their accounting firm, in providing their statements of activities and their cash flows, keeping in mind that this information was gleaned in February and January of this year, so there may be more updated information since the writing of this. But for the operational year ending December 31st of 23, the Ritz had revenues totaling just over $241,000 and expenses totaling just over $302,000, which resulted in an operational loss of just over $61,000. There is a current mortgage for the building that is held by Citizens Bank and Trust that has a maturity date of August 1st, 2024, so just about 6 months away from us, 5 months away. The current outstanding principal on that mortgage as of the 1st of February of this year was just shy of $497,000. In reviewing the past 3 months of operation, particularly November of '23 through January of '24, the average monthly expense to staff and operate the facility was approximately $21,000 per month. Revenues during that same period were minimal, being direct revenues, with the highest month being November, which was just over $6,800 inclusive of events, rentals, and contributions. Keep in mind that the city makes that contribution to the Ritz. They also get other funds that come to them, and that kind of offsets their spending month over month, and then they supplement that with the rental rates that they receive, as well as program direct revenues. The total revenues in January of this year were negative due to the direct costs associated of the events being held, which were greater than the actual revenues received from those events. So looking at the building in general, I had assigned staff from our city's facility maintenance division, as well as our general contractor that we have under continuing contract, to conduct a walkthrough of the building in late February. In general, that building is just shy of 100 years old, and it is in relatively good repair. That team did note some minor cosmetic, plumbing, electrical, and structural items that could be addressed over a few years, nothing that was an imminent, oh gosh, we've got to do this right now before we can do anything. Instead, the staff that inspected the building suggested a total budget towards general maintenance, minor repairs of $100,000 spread over a 2-year period to address those items. They did, however, identify 2 larger long-term needs, which include the replacement of a membrane roof and the 3 existing 30-ton air conditioning units. Given the condition of that roof, replacement would need to occur within the next 3 to 5 years. It is a membrane roof, and you cannot put more than 2 membranes on there, so the expectation is that that roof will have to be torn down to the original decking there, and then a new membrane put on. You can't just apply it to what's already there. Because of the disruption associated with that roof, in consideration of the age of the current air conditioning units, it's advisable to do both the air conditioning and roof projects at the same time. That would minimize disruption to ongoing programs and events, making, you want to make sure the building can be used as much as possible, but also minimize the impacts to the adjacent downtown businesses. Current estimate for the work on the roof and air conditioning is $495,000, $300,000 for the roof and approximately $65,000 for each of the air conditioning units. Operationally, the Ritz is a very unique building, requires highly specialized programming, and has very specialized operational needs as well. It's not something city staff have expertise in, nor does the city presently have the bandwidth to effectively take on such responsibilities. So in just, kind of thinking, how would you even handle the operation of this if the commission were favorable to engaging in this? I had reached out to Theater Winter Haven staff, which presently provides similar services at the city's Chain of Lakes Park. You may recall that prior to the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in the spring of 2020, Theater Winter Haven had assisted with programming at the Ritz for a period of time. That ended when, obviously, everything went dark in March of 2020, and when the theater reopened, they focused their attention primarily at Chain of Lakes Park. So as mentioned, I did reach out to Dan Chesnicka. I see that Mr. Chesnicka is with us here this evening to discuss Theater Winter Haven's bandwidth and potential interest in programming the Ritz. In the event the city were the owner and operator of the Ritz and subject to approval by his board of directors, Theater Winter Haven would be willing to program them and manage the space similar to their programming and management of the theatrical spaces at Chain of Lakes Park. Again, the city owns that building, provides for the insurance of the space as well as the operational occupancy costs for utilities, but the operation of the programming, the costs associated with that, all falls back to Theater Winter Haven. In this scenario, they would be responsible for the scheduling, procuring, marketing, ticketing, and delivery of all activities within the space. And likewise, all expenses associated with these activities would be the responsibility of Theater Winter Haven in exchange for them receiving the direct revenues associated with those events. So it's pay for the programs to go in, but receive the revenues to offset those costs. Preliminary menu of events and programs could include things such as tribute concerts, game nights, which would be like community gatherings, as well as the recreation on stage of historic live TV games, variety shows tied to the vaudeville history of the Ritz, themed public dances, weekday brunch productions, watch parties for major sporting events and award programs, and professional productions and traveling shows. Use of the space for nonprofit events that lend themselves to a theater environment could also be accommodated. Those might include some of the city functions, such as the State of the City, the Symphony Guild events and concerts, fundraisers for local nonprofits, such as what the Public Education Partnership used to do, as well as Chamber of Commerce presentations and similar functions. Guiding goal of any programming at the Ritz is to maximize the activation and exposure of the facility while creating an ancillary economic benefit for the downtown and the surrounding community. Programming decisions would have to contemplate the days, times, audiences, competing events, and program format and titles that will yield the greatest return on investment for the Ritz and for downtown. From a financial side, and considering the impact for the city to acquire the Ritz, three key expenses need to be considered. First is the immediate one-time capital. As I mentioned, there's a present mortgage with Citizens Bank and Trust that matures in August of 2024 and has a current outstanding principal as of February 1st of just shy of $497,000. If the city were to acquire the physical building and land, this mortgage would need to be paid off immediately. At the closing of the fiscal year 23 books, as you just heard from our CFO, our fund balance, in my fact sheet, I note 37%. It's actually 38% is what the fund balance is. So those additional fund balance, to be transferred back into the construction fund for contingency is approximately $5.1 million. A portion of those funds could be utilized to satisfy the mortgage obligation of the Ritz if the city acquired the building and land. The ongoing operations of the building, again, if the city were to acquire it, we would need to contract with a third party to program and manage the space. Most appropriate party to engage for those services would be Theater Winter Haven. Under such arrangement, they would be responsible for the direct expenses of the programs and would take receipt of program-related direct revenues. City would be responsible for maintaining the building, insurance, general repair, and utilities. Annual expenses for water, sewer, electric, and garbage are currently estimated at $24,000 annually. The annual insurance specific to the building, replacement value, and current and content value is estimated at just shy of $17,000. In reviewing the building inspection from city facility maintenance staff, it was estimated that approximately $50,000 would need to be set aside for each of the first 2 years to address items noted in that report. I will note that the city has made an annual contribution to the Ritz of $80,000 for each of the past several years. Obviously, if the city were to take ownership of the facility, the grant and aid contribution would no longer be necessary, and said funds could be retained and specifically appropriated to help with the ongoing expenses and routine maintenance. The long-term maintenance is a bigger item. As I mentioned, the roof and the air conditioning to be addressed within the next 3 to 5 years, hopefully more so on the 5-year window. Current estimated cost for that for the air conditioning units at $195,000 total for the 3 and $300,000 for the roof. There is potential, and this has to be further explored, but as I mentioned during our workshop, the Polk County Tourist Development Council has a separate appropriation tied that they assign funds out to arts and culture events. Some of that goes towards programming in the form of grants. Some of it goes towards capital improvements. So there is potential for the city to pursue capital funding via the TDC. That still has some vetting to take place. There would also be the potential for whatever state grants may be used to offset some costs there. My conclusion is that fully activating the space can have a direct economic benefit to other downtown businesses by creating an arts and culture destination that results in residual and ancillary spending at restaurants, bars, and retail establishments. By the same token, an inactivated space of this nature could negatively impact those same businesses as a result of losing the same customers who may not otherwise seek to visit downtown. That may not be a destination that they have otherwise but for so to attend an event there. The decision to buy the Ritz or leave it on the open market is ultimately a matter of risk and reward. If the city were to acquire the building, it gains an asset of value, but would incur a significant direct expense associated with the mortgage, annual operations, and long-term maintenance. That's estimated or forecast to be approximately $1.29 million over a 5-year period. The only direct financial offset to this is the elimination of the current grant and aid funding provided to the Ritz, which would total $400,000 over that same 5 years. Acquiring the Ritz does provide the city control as well as responsibility, that's the sidebar with it, for the activation of the space. While the city doesn't presently have the expertise or available bandwidth for that responsibility, it does have a willing partner in Theater Winter Haven, which is appropriately suited to develop a program that could enhance the economic benefit to the downtown overall. If the city were to decline the acquisition of the Ritz, and if the Board of Directors were not able to fulfill its financial obligations to the mortgagor, the facility could go dark. Bank would likely foreclose on the mortgage, and either via judicial sale in a foreclosure action or a sale on the open market, it would be reasonable to believe that the facility would be sold incident to a satisfaction of the bank's lien on the property. Under this scenario, the building would have no economic benefit to the downtown while dark, and any potential future benefit would depend on the property being acquired by an outside party and any subsequent use thereafter. Under that scenario, the city would be eliminating any ongoing financial support for the facility, again, a conceivable savings of $80,000 per year, as well as any direct capital or operational expenses. So we had a very lengthy discussion on this the other evening. I want to thank Tom Westbury. I see that he's here again this evening. Members of his board that met with me in January are here that certainly have more expertise and insights on this than I. I see we have representatives also from Theater Winter Haven who were engaged in the conversation Wednesday evening as well. So I don't have a recommendation for the commission. I present this for informational purposes, requesting direction from the commission as to how you would like to proceed in responding to the inquiry that came from the Ritz Theater Board of Directors. I will say that ultimately what happens with that facility is not up to this commission. It's just, are you willing to entertain taking on that as a potential pathway? Ultimately, the decision of what to do comes down to the Board of Directors of the Ritz Theater.
Yes, and we had talked about the Ritz is a 501c3, and the sale of the assets supposed to, I don't know how that would work.
I think that's some of what has to shake out in the details of a transaction, what that would look like. Whatever, assets there are, financial assets, if that could be provided to the city, whatever's there, the city also is a nonprofit, not in a 501c3 status, but that's something that needs to be explored further. And the value of the, whatever financial reserves there are has to be factored in.
Well, and Mr. Mayor, as was mentioned Wednesday at your workshop agenda review, the very threshold question that needs to be answered, assuming that you all are in, consensus to move forward in that direction, would be whether or not it bears on the 501c3 issue, the articles of incorporation, the bylaws, and the rules and regulations, whether they would permit a transfer of ownership of whatever assets may be under their control. So that would have to be looked at. I understand that Mark Turner is the attorney who represents the Ritz Theater Board, and certainly he and I would, in conjunction with city staff, we could analyze that if that was the direction that, commission wants to take. But those are matters that would need to be looked at, right up front, and make sure that we could see a pathway forward as it relates to that part of the transaction. The rest of it, as city manager notated, is in the details.
One thing I do want to point out, and I failed to mention this before I started my presentation, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner or Mayor Pro Tem Yates will need to abstain or not participate in this discussion or vote, as he is an employee of Citizens Bank and Trust, which holds the mortgage. So as a conflict of interest, he'll need to not engage in the discussion or in the vote.
And would need to file the Form 8. I think the city clerk probably has that form available for him. Not knowing what action may or may not be entertained tonight, we just put that out there.
T, two questions. Have you had any discussions with any of the parties since our lively discussion Wednesday night?
No, sir.
And what you're looking for tonight is for us to vote on whether to even entertain having this. We're not looking for anything other than just to try to have a meeting of the minds. That's what we're really looking for tonight.
Yeah, I think if the commission says we're interested in this, I think the direction, well, I think what that sends a message to the board of directors is, okay, is that the path you want to go? Or is there some other, magic scenario to make this all work as it is? And if it is their desire to pursue that as the viable solution, then myself, my senior staff, and in working in concert with city attorney would be to craft that arrangement, those transfer documents, that all those pieces that come with that, and bring that back to the city commission for final action.
And if memory serves, both of the chief executives are here, have said it has to go to their board still yet. Which obviously they've not done. So what we would be voting on tonight is just to further have discussions, and then when we finally come to some sort of meeting of the minds, then we'll actually have something to vote on, up or down. But tonight, we're talking about just voting on the next step.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the best way to say it is, do we want to engage in the dance per se to bring something back, or do we just want to sit out?
All right, thank you. Before we have a vote, there are 3 people in the audience.
We need a motion?
No, I'm saying before we do the motion.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to allow the people in the audience to speak. So, the first person is Demetric Phillips. State your name and address for the record.
Demetric Phillips, 328 Country Walk Club Circle, Winter Haven, Florida, 33881. Right on. Well, hey, so I'm Demetric Phillips, a local pastor here, and we currently rent the theater at Ritz. And my family and I moved here from Hawaii 3 years ago because we love Winter Haven so much, you know what I mean? So we left paradise to come to another paradise, right?
Good save, D.
Yeah, but we want to say thank you to the city and to your leadership, and then to the board members at the Ritz, just for the opportunity. We planted the church 2.5 years ago, and we just want to say thank you for them for allowing us to rent out that space on Sunday morning as a paying attendant, and it's been great. It's been a great partnership with us helping them set up, helping with volunteering with setup and events and all that type stuff. And we're a new church in the area, but it's some amazing things happening these last 2 years where we've been able to reach well over 600 or so people, and over an average of 200 people weekly coming to our services on a Sunday morning in the Ritz that we're renting out. And we're not only just providing a service, where people can express their faith. We're also reaching our community through programs where we bring in youth and we bring in adults, and we've been training them in areas of financial literacy and different technologies dealing with audio, visual, and just other STEM type stuff that we're communicating that is not just a Sunday morning, but we thank the Ritz for the ability to also do things throughout the week. And then one of my main things is just, all I ask is in this decision that's being made, is that we have time to find a place to meet, because I understand, we'll support whatever decision you make because we love our city and we love what's going to happen with the Ritz. You mentioned Theater Winter Haven, they do great work and we're excited about that. We're all for whatever's going to make our city better. But in that, I just ask that you would give us time to find a place, because it's kind of hard to move several hundred people at the drop of a dime into a facility here in Winter Haven. But we do thank you guys for the opportunity, and we look forward to whatever decision you make. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you. Jesse Scuba, state your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Jessie Scribner, 118 3rd Street Southwest, Winter Haven, 33880. You have to excuse me, I'm not too prepared for tonight because I was kind of caught off guard by this agenda item. I want to say that I fully support the city purchasing the Ritz. I think that it could be a great asset for the city, and I believe that it would be good for you to kind of have a little more control over what does happen in there. However, when it comes to the operations, I do think the Theater of Winter Haven could do a great job. However, I do believe an RFP for the operations might be a little more appropriate, since you are talking about a lot of tax money going into it. And you never know, you might get a proposal that that could benefit the city, and rather than it being a liability financially, it could be an asset that could bring in some money for the city. So I just think that there should be a little more discussion on that part, and perhaps the theater would be the best option, but we won't know that unless you put that RFP out there and allow other people to put in a proposal. So I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Terry Kristen. State your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Terry Christian, 1153 West Lake Hamilton Drive, Winter Haven, Florida. I am here to speak on behalf of Bridge Church and the great work they do within the city of Winter Haven, specifically in my former role as principal of Denison Middle School. I met Pastor Phillips a couple years ago where he came, and through Bridge Church, they provided financial support for our scholars as well as our teachers, and he currently comes weekly and mentors 5 male youth there at Denison Middle School. So I believe with Bridge Church being located where it is at the Ritz Theater, they do a lot of great work. Pastor Phillips has shared his vision to be central in Winter Haven to continue to serve the youth as well as the adults of Winter Haven. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's everyone. Commissioners?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Motion to approve further discussions with city staff and the boards from the Theater Winter Haven and the Ritz Theater Board to see if might be some common ground where we can meet and potentially explore the possibility of the city owning that building in the future.
All right. All right, I will close the city commission meeting and open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this item? You can do so at this time. State your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes.
Hello, my name is Dakota Richardson, 235 6th Street Northwest, Unit 109, 33881. I do apologize for my lack of preparation. I had to type out my message, but I want to thank you all so much for being here and having your patience to hear our hearts. My husband and I have been attending Bridge Church faithfully since July 24 of 2022, after God had continuously nudged me in many ways through many people that this might just become my new church home after a long year of church hopping, as it is called. Since the moment of walking through the very unique entryway of an old historical movie theater, with the idea of calling this a church, right away I knew that the Ritz Movie Theater would be a cornerstone for diversity, and that it is. In the most beautiful and unique and authentic way, the Ritz has provided not only beautiful unity and not through uniformity, but where the heart of God can reach its city through this church. I believe that this city, for Bridge Church, to have the opportunity of being blessed with this building, I believe this city will not only be aiding the heart, growth, and family essence of Winter Haven, but planting a seed of faith within this city that is bound to grow, transforming not only the residents within the city of Winter Haven, but all those who pass through it. I hope you all will consider the interest of this decision and the effect that it will have not only on the historical movie theater and all the entertainment it may or may not bring, but the effects of this church plant that has not only blessed me and my walk with the Lord, but has also done the same with those here being represented as Bridge Church and those to come to their faith in Jesus Christ. Lord willing, and by His grace of God, His will be done. Thank you.
Anyone else? State your name and address for the record. Have
My name
5
is
minutes.
Jacob Powelson, and my address is 235 6th Street Northwest, Unit 109, Winter Haven, Florida, 33881. Kind of an informal and personal approach. I'm going to state my experience with Bridge Church. I'm originally from Missouri, born and raised of over 2 decades, and I moved here in the summer of 2022 to the state of Florida. And upon also looking for a church home, I stumbled across Bridge Church. And in my time and experience at Bridge Church, I have been developed in my leadership skills. I have met my then girlfriend and now wife who previously spoke. And personally being very hesitant upon staying in the state of Florida and involving myself in the community too much, I now am a public school teacher here in the city at Garner Academy, and my heart is here in Winter Haven, and Bridge Church, Pastor Demetric Phillips, and the rest of the members there, and just the utilization of that space has developed me as a young man, from being on the fence and representing my generation, being hesitant to step into the workforce and make an impact on my community. I now have a heart for this city and have a heart for changing young men and young athletes in this area. So that's my personal testimony, and I just wanted to share a word with that. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else? State your name and address for the record.
Kim Davis, 354 Terra Nova Boulevard, Winter Haven, Florida, 33884. Pastor Phillips, I've heard really good things about your church, so thank you for your contribution to the city. So I think as a part of this, we also need to make sure that we're considering how long the city would participate in owning this property. It's going to go through a lot of transitioning through the bylaws and all of the details of unwinding this 501c3. And I think that we need to make sure that the city does not become a transition location for this property just to be sold down the road to somebody that did not want to go through the process. So I think if you consider taking on this project, I think you should put in a minimum amount of time that the city would be willing to own it and manage it and take care of it.
Okay.
And that's all.
Thank you. Anyone else? State your name and address for the record.
Hello, everyone. My name is Milav Dastua, address 900 East Bella Vista Street, Lakeland, Florida 33805, apartment 4049, sorry. Yes, I am a member of Bridge Church, and I've been there for some time. And as Pastor Dakota stated about the whole church hopping thing, I was church hopping myself, and luckily I was able to step into this place that I felt was very, very different. I made the decision to actually get baptized at this church, and it I think it's been about over a year that I've been baptized, and ever since then, I've been just reformed, just based off of my walk with God and getting just God-given information in regards like how to just move forward as best you can. In the midst of that, with this church, through this church, I was actually gifted transportation, which at the time before I was going at the church, I was Ubering and also taking my mother's car. She didn't really like that too much, but we still did that. And in the midst of getting the car, I made the decision after baptizing to really go in pursuit of God and like what He wants me to do with my lifetime, really the remainder of my lifetime. Through Bridge Church, I met Sarah Chase, and she introduced me to Youth for Christ. Youth for Christ is a ministry that actually is a part of, that goes to the Girls Detention Center, and they speak the gospel to them. And before this, I never done that. And so something in my heart made me go to that, just continue just to move forward as best I can, kind of bandy it until I started getting my spine together and like doing all the right things in there. I've been ministering there every other Sunday. And in the midst of that, I also got myself and my son actually moved out of my mother's home that we were at the time to Lakeland. So like I was here in the city picking my son up, and it made sense to just come through and just like see what's going on, because Bridge Church is doing a lot of great things, and I'm one of the testimonies to say that my soul has definitely been set free from whatever it was shackled to, and I really feel like my capabilities that I just kind of didn't so much entertain or really push forward with has been developed here. It hasn't been the most easiest walk, but I'm committed, and I definitely see the commitment that they gave me in the midst of my start there. And I just hope that, and I thank you for all that you're doing in the city. There's a lot of great things. Oh my God, I went to the Essence of Women event on the weekend, and I'm telling you, like, I've never actually experienced the development as I am now, but there's like a lot of great things. So I thank you for what you're doing, seen and unseen. I believe that all of us here are believers of God in some form or fashion, and I believe that wherever Bridge is meant to be, they're gonna definitely continue to do the great work that they're doing. And if it's there at the Ritz Theater, so be it. If not, I'm sure they're gonna get a building soon. And I thank you just for your time, for hearing my ramble, and I hope that you got something out of this, that Bridge is doing great things, and I hope you really just help us out, because we haven't got out, and that's it.
All right, thank you.
I'm impressed that young child stayed asleep through all that.
I want you all to know, though, that the vote that we are taking here tonight is not making any determination as to us really buying that. It's just a pursuit of it. And the board of directors of the Ritz, all of that, they have to come back to us if we vote to even pursue it. So I'm just telling you all, y'all probably need to be talking to that Ritz board as well. I just want to make sure you understand that, all right? Okay. State your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Sulema Felix. and I live at 61 Temple Circle here in Winter Haven. And wow, now that I get up here, I get the deal. Okay, so let me just repeat. I wear a lot of hats. I'm a Polk County public school teacher. And as I look around the room, I see so many faces. Like Katrina, my daughter, went to the Montessori school. My daughter is in her 9th year, Theater Winter Haven, so I know Dan. And I really hope that as you consider down the line, not tonight, okay, that you will remember that I fully support Theater Winter Haven taking over that location because they've done some amazing things. I mean, my daughter has like blossomed. You know, she has straight A's, but let me tell you, she is well-rounded because of every year that she's gone through the Theater Winter Haven program. And I'm sorry for being emotional. But I'm also the community director at Bridge Church. And first of all, I've never been at a church that has prayed for every church in Winter Haven every single Sunday. So it's not just about us. And I love the fact that anybody is welcome. You know, one lady said, I'm just going to say, it was a white lady said to me, you need to come to Bridge Church because that's what heaven looks like. Because we have everybody there. So we welcome everybody in the city. And so I just say to you that as you think about Theater Winter Haven taking over, hopefully there'll be some space to allow Bridge to stay. I mean, I know Pastor D said, give us time, but I'm hoping that we can stay there because I feel like we do so much in the community that the downtown is blessed, community members are blessed, and we want to continue to bless the community because we love it. And so I thank you, and down the line, make that vote.
All right, is there anyone else? All right, we'll close the public hearing. We'll open the city commission meeting. Commissioners, we have a motion. All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed is by the same sign. Hearing none, you have your marching orders.
Thank you, sir. And Vanessa, if you would make sure that that reflects a 4-0 vote, not a 5-0 vote.
Full.
Thank you, commissioners. Appreciate the dialogue.
All right. Liaison reports. Commissioner Dantzler.
Okay, had a TDC Arts meeting, and we did talk about the Ritz at the TDC Arts meeting, and what you were referring to is sticks and bricks type of a grant, and that is usually type grants that we use when we have excess money. Right now, we don't have any excess money, but we might. But I also talked to him about the $40,000 grant that was already approved for the Ritz. Understand these grants that the TDC offers are reimbursement grants. You have to spend the money to get the money. And we all at the TDC had confidence in Dan and his ability to maybe pull a rabbit out of the hat and save that money, but we're not sure. So, but the TDC's been noticed that this is something that's important to Winter Haven. So they are going to consider it when it comes time if there's some sort of sticks and bricks type grants that we can apply for. So that was last week. Also had an FMIT meeting, the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust, and Commissioner, our City Manager Stavers was talking about $17,000 for insurance on the Ritz. The good news is insurance rates have peaked in the state, and they're starting to come down for municipalities, so maybe we get a little bit of break on that.
If we could get a better rate on all of our insurance, that would do wonders.
It's coming down. It peaked last year, and we're seeing more carriers coming to the commercial market. So had an off-the-clock event at for the FSU doctors, which is pretty neat. They're down there on First Street, Wheel Corps building, right next to Max Meat. There's a whole slew of doctors down there, and you can go down there and get treated. They're looking for new patients, so all young people right out of med school. So had lunch at the Martin Luther King Park with city clerks. Delicious lunch. Took some back to my staff. Very good. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you. And then we had an AHAC meeting, and AHAC meeting was very good. Our staff was well prepared. In fact, one of the comments made by one of the members with AHAC was that I've never gotten so much information as we got today, so everybody was stoked, and AHAC is now clicking on all cylinders, and I'm happy to see it, and hats off to the staff for being so prepared and having our committee fired up and doing their thing now, so everybody's moving in the same direction, so that's it.
All right. Commissioner Mercer?
Okay, also attended the clerk's luncheon at MLK Park, and it was a very good lunch. Did the Ridge League in Bartow. That had a Irish theme to that one. Attended the governor, I guess his recent legislation at the sheriff's office press room. We were all crowded in there, so a lot of people had to stand. I got a seat, so, but at the very back of the room. So also attended the Symphony Guild, the Champagne and Shamrocks. Very, very nice. Also attended the FSU residency program with Winter Haven Hospital that Commissioner Brad told you about. And then I attended the Public Safety Awards banquet. And I just want to say that they have all my respect, and it's a tough job when you revive kids from drownings and things like that. So we certainly support you and all that you do, whether it be police, fire, EMS, all of that. So thank you very much.
That's it. Commissioner Dawson?
Well, thank you, Mayor. I'm sitting here with a lot of emotions tonight because, when I hear people's lives being changed and transformed, you can't help but be moved by that. And I have a pastor's heart. That's what I do. I've done for the past 40 years. And listening to the great work that the Bridge Church is doing in our city is just truly amazing. And but I could not help but think about the fact that where I serve is perhaps the oldest church in Winter Haven. And we'll celebrate 143 years fairly soon. And the significance of that is that the church started downtown, near downtown Winter Haven, and only 5 families started the church. And as I was listening tonight about this young ministry that's doing great work in our downtown area, and young people that are being affected, I look at our own church, and we're experiencing some amazing things happening in our community. And but I'm just so excited to hear that, and to know that, many years ago when our church started, the people who came were former enslaved people. And, we've come a long way. And to be here, to sit where I'm sitting, is certainly a privilege and an honor to do so. And to know that Winter Haven is a progressive place, I think that is moving forward in a positive way and impacting, I think, this area like we've never perhaps believed it would. So I'm encouraged to hear that. I know that Bridge will be all right, because I believe that the Lord certainly has his hands on that work, and we'll hear greater things from them. But also, I had the privilege to participate in several things. The Ridge League dinner in Bartow, I enjoyed that, the fellowship and the networking of being a part of the Ridge League, and also was able to go to the governor's press conference, and I did get a seat, and it was quite interesting to experience that. Our sheriff never ceases to not entertain us in many ways. He has a very unique way and flair of doing that. I was able to attend the Symphony Guild, Champagne and Shamrocks. That was some amazing music. I mean, just beautiful. I was enjoyed every aspect of that, to see the kind of culture and the wonderful things that we have in Winter Haven. That's just so rewarding. I was able to attend the Safety Awards banquet to give recognition and to those who serve our city Many serve selflessly, and we thank God for them and the great work that they continue to do. I was able to also attend the Give Well Foundation Toast in Lakeland, and that Give Well, I think many of you are aware of the foundation. It's been around for a very, very long time, but the work that the Give Well Foundation does and the impact that it has, I had some idea, but attending that toast certainly made my awareness even much greater. As a ministry, as a church, we receive some funds from Give Well, and if nothing else, I wanted to go there to say thank you for what contribution they had made. But to hear that in the past year was the largest contribution they have made ever, and I was just impressed with that. And just to know that we have that philanthropic type of spirit in this area, and how many lives are being impacted by it is truly amazing. I was also able to attend the ribbon cutting to upgrade the Denison Stadium, and I tell you, the new field is beautiful. I mean, it's just amazing. And we stepped out onto the track, the new track, and we thought about trying to get down and get in formation to make a run, but better judgment and older bodies told us that probably would not be a great idea. But it was just wonderful to see that happen. I had two children who graduated from Winter Haven High School, a son who had been a class president and who also was a teacher at Winter Haven High School, and so I have a lot of love for the Blue Devils, and I have a hard time saying that because my son was a football player, and he had a sign, and he said, he put out in front of the yard, said, "A Blue Devil lives here." I said, "Well, no, not really." I'm not going to give the devil any justice in that regard. But nevertheless, we were just able to enjoy just seeing that happen in Winter Haven. Only the third in Polk County, to know that we have that kind of facility that young athletes will come out and be able to perform and use their athletic prowess and abilities to the best of their best that they can. So we're excited about that. So that's kind of the overrun of where I've been handling things and where I've been.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, first of all, I got to commend everyone that's still here, because we never have this many in the audience at this stage of the game. So this is impressive. So thank you all for staying. I'll try to be brief on just a few items. So I had an opportunity to be on the Florida League of Cities post-legislative call. It is pretty evident that those in Tallahassee, as mentioned earlier this evening, really have thrown home rule out the window. And there's so many things that continues to limit us up here as to what we do and the decisions that we make. Everything from concurrency and adjacent concurrency. If you ever want to have a class on adjacent concurrency, I can get our chamber president back there, Sarah Beth Wyatt, who's also on the school board, and we will have a good little powwow, because adjacent concurrency is a problem, and only the state legislature can go in and fix that. So if you ever want to learn more about that, call me up. We'll have coffee one morning. But that pet peeve of mine, if you can't tell. But there were a lot of items on this year's agenda that I felt should have been on there and weren't on there. And there were a lot of items that probably shouldn't, and they passed. And continuing to put forth challenges for municipalities across the state. And it seems like they're making these rules up for one municipality, in one area of Florida where they're causing these rule changes, and you've got municipalities like Winter Haven and others throughout Polk County who are doing it right. So that's frustrating up here, but we'll continue to go up there and fight and speak the truth and the positiveness that is happening in Winter Haven. So with that, also attended the FSU residency program. Did you like saying that, Commissioner Dancer, that FSU residency program?
We're all wearing shoes.
Tell you what, the garnet and gold and the torches on the seal, that's special things. But all jokes aside, they've got it going on up there. They're graduating their second class here in June. There's over 20 new residents that have signed up to attend the program. This is when residence programs throughout the nation, there's many that are falling short and not filling their capacity, and the FSU residency program in Winter Haven, Florida is filling their capacity. So that's great news for the city of Winter Haven and the surrounding area, because a lot of these residents are choosing to stay here and stay local and become physicians in the local area. So that's a great thing. Also attended the Public Safety Awards banquet, and unfortunately and fortunately, I guess you look at it both ways. I hate that tragedies happen in our community, but I am so thankful that we've got the first responders that we have in Winter Haven to come in our time of need. And one of the videos that was shown, showed a victim who was unresponsive, and they just continued to work and work and work and work. And that little boy was there the other night because those first responders' action and their dedication to the job. So thank you so much to every first responder out there. And it was a great program, and I'm glad that we continue to recognize our first responders each and every year at that event. Also attended the ribbon cutting at Denison Stadium. I graduated on that field. I've got a student athlete who will be playing on that field next year when the soccer matches return back out there. And I'm super excited to hopefully see him graduate on that field as well. As I've said before, Lakeland's great, and it's nice over there, but it's not Winter Haven, and that's where it's at. So look forward to hopefully having the graduations back at Denison Stadium where they belong. And with that, that's it.
All right, thank you. Well, I'm going to be brief. I attended the ribbon cutting for the Winter Haven Field, the Public Service Awards Banquet, the Bay Care Off the Clock with FSU. And the good thing about those doctors, they say that over 80% of them are relocating to Polk County. So we're getting doctors. Attended the TPZO Disadvantage Committee meeting, Simply Gill, and a women's prayer breakfast, and that's it. City Attorney?
Nothing this evening. Thank you, Mayor, Commissioner.
City Manager?
Couple things this evening, if I could, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to ask the clerk to share with you, I think there's enough copies here. I provide you a update every quarter to help just kind of document and memorialize things that happen. Certainly not everything that happens within the city manager's office, but some items of significance. So this is my quarterly report for the first quarter of the calendar year 2024. So a couple of things I just want to point out that I think were very significant for Winter Haven in this period. First being the selection of our Deputy Chief of Police. I think Deputy Chief Vance Monroe is in the back of the room. Vance, if you wouldn't mind standing up so these fine people can see who you are. So we had looked high and low for a deputy chief and went through the process twice because I wasn't satisfied the first time, and boy, am I satisfied the second time. So Vance joined our team in February, has hit the ground running, is having a very positive impact, not just within our workforce, but within the community, and working alongside our great chief, David Brannon. Also, about that same time, we were looking for, over the past year actually, a assistant director for economic opportunity and community investment. With that said, in late fall of 23, we interviewed Mr. Cedric Cox, and he ultimately joined our team on February 5th, the same day as Vance. So Cedric Cox. I point that out because Cedric comes to us, he comes to us from the county, is with their Housing and Neighborhoods Development Division. He has extensive background in SHIP and CDBG, affordable housing, and he has been just a breath of fresh air and bringing some new life into those programs for us and really helping us get up to speed. You mentioned the legislative session. I think that that's a highlight for us during the last quarter. Number of bills that were targeting municipal government operations, policies, services, and finances. My office this year, I think we worked harder than ever to try and vet out those bills and take an aggressive and assertive approach to trying to defeat those which were not good for us. Regular communication with the League of Cities, our legislative consultants, as well as our local legislative elected officials. That was the priority for really November, December, January, February. We had our trip to Tallahassee in February. The session is over. Not all the bills have been signed yet, but a lot of the ones that we were very concerned with, I will happily say that we helped get those defeated through communications, through letter writing campaigns, through sharing facts about the impacts of those. We're still waiting for the governor to sign off on some bills as well as on the budget. I am very proud to state that for the first time in my career, this was the first year that I was recognized by the Florida League of Cities as a home rule hero. So that is something that I just found out about within the past couple days and excited about that. Commissioner Yates is also one that was being recognized this year by the Florida League of Cities as a home rule hero. And that's noted on their website, so I expect some communication coming forward on that. We are in the midst of our strategic planning retreat. One of the things we launched in February of this year was a SWOT analysis or an environmental scan. So we have been gathering data really for the past 15, 16 months now, but in February we did a very specific environmental scan calling upon some of our local business partners, community partners, various disciplines of professions throughout our community to try and get some feedback on some aspects of what they see in their world as those things that are going to be impactful to Winter Haven over the next 5 years. And I look forward to sharing that information with you later this week. New commissioner orientation. Proud to say that Commissioner Dollison has successfully graduated orientation. So he has completed a rigorous 8-session orientation that really helped us establish what that program needs to look like going forward. So thank you for being our most recent guinea pig in that process, and we will revamp and revise and further add to that as we look to future elections and potential new folks joining the City Commission. Last thing I want to point out, and Commissioner Dancer, you commented on this, and that is I'm extremely proud of what's happening with our Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. I, like you, I think that this is probably some of the most impactful work that group has ever been involved in. I do want to give a special word of appreciation to Eric Labby and Cedric Cox, as well as Diane Durr. They saw what needed to happen there. Cedric certainly brings that insight in. They have identified what their strategies need to be and how they want to look at that over the next 2 meetings. They've got their annual report done. They have filled every seat available on the AHAC. Our intent is that they will utilize every incentive of the 11 incentives to have an action under all of those to further advance what we're doing for affordable housing. Really impressed with what's happening there. I think it's getting the attention that it deserves and it needs, and look forward to seeing how Eric and Cedric and Diane continue to champion that going forward. The other thing I'll tell you is that I believe it will be for your next City Commission workshop. Katrina Hill, our Director of Public Affairs and Communication, Eric Labby and I need to still meet on this, but Katrina has put together a phenomenal marketing program for our SHIP program that really gets that word out through a number of different platforms that we look forward to sharing that with you of how do we further make sure the community knows what we do in SHIP and what they can avail themselves to. This is unlike anything I've ever seen Winter Haven do before, and I have not seen anything of this quality with any of the other cities that I'm familiar with. So I look forward to sharing that with you, hopefully at your next workshop, and using that to further avail, for our community to avail itself of the the SHIP dollars that we have to go forward. And that is the gist of what is within this quarterly report, and I'll be happy to answer any other questions that you may have regarding ongoing operations. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy City Manager?
I do have something this evening, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. I know it's late here. I will try to keep it brief, but I come before you tonight with the distinct honor of sharing a recognition recently bestowed on a member of the city team by the American Public Works Association, the West Coast branch of the Florida chapter. An individual whose dedication and expertise have made a significant impact on our community, and someone I consider myself fortunate to get to work with. Our Public Works Director, Brittany Hart, and I will ask Brittany to come up while I tell you a little bit about the award. The Community Involvement Award is given to recognize a member who is actively involved in their community, either where they work or where they live. This award acknowledges outstanding involvement to enhance quality of life and to be a positive role model. Brittany's a graduate of Polk State College, holding dual bachelors in business and public administration, a graduate of Leadership Winter Haven, Leadership Polk, and the APWA Emerging Leaders Program. In addition to the way she serves the community through her various endeavors in her personal life, she's put her skills to work leading transformation within the city's Public Works Department, implementing a wide variety of new technology, the work order program where residents can submit work orders, and all of the things that happen behind the scenes to actually get that done is a really great example of that. She's helped to mold leaders, both more and less experienced than herself, and constantly works to solve problems with creative ideas. I believe I once called her our process improvement queen within Public Works. The impact of these endeavors on the community is significant, ensuring a timely and professional delivery of a wide variety of community services. Lastly, she's gotten the department on track for its first accreditation review, again ensuring efficient and effective services to the community, and is a shining example of the kind of people we want to see in public service. So congratulations.
Mr. Mayor, the way that read was getting the department ready for accreditation. We look forward to bringing that accreditation back to this commission for formal presentation relatively soon. That's one of only, I believe, 2 in the county that are accredited, maybe of 11 in the state of Florida. So that is a major, major accomplishment.
Anything else?
That's it, sir. Thank you.
City Clerk?
I do, actually. I cannot believe I've been here for 10 years. Wow, time has passed by so quickly. Team Michael, I just want to thank you for your kind words. It's been a pleasure working with you all of these years. Also, John Murphy, and all of your phenomenal staff, Team Michael, and City Commissioners. I am just so blessed to be here. I just want to thank you for all your support all these years, anything I've ever wanted to do, from getting my degree, going to the different conferences. You've always allowed for me to do that. It's helped me to grow immensely, and I don't take it for granted. And, so every day for me is a blessing. Not all clerks are this blessed. And I appreciate all that you've done for me and for keeping me all these years, most of all. So thank you very much, everyone, for their support.
Mayor?
Yes.
You have some other hometown heroes. Brad was one last year, so I picked up this. And I was.
And Tracy.
Yeah.
Emergency matters not received for the agenda. Motion to adjourn. We adjourn.